Have you ever tried to start a TIG weld and heard your welder doesn't have a fancy high-frequency start button? Or maybe you are in the field with a basic machine and need to get a weld done? Then you need to know about Scratch Start TIG, the raw, old-school way to ignite an arc, and honestly, more welders should understand it. First, let's understand what Scratch Start TIG actually is. TIG welding, or GTAW, gas tungsten arc welding, uses a non-consumable tungsten electrode to create the arc. Now, there are three common ways to start that arc. Number 1, high-frequency start, or HF start. The machine sends a high-frequency electrical pulse that jumps the gap between the tungsten and the base metal, no contact required. This is the gold standard. Number 2, lift arc start. You touch the tungsten to the metal, then lift it away. The arc starts at very low current to protect the tungsten. And number 3, Scratch Start TIG. You physically scratch or drag the tungsten across the base metal, just like striking a match, to initiate the arc. Scratch Start is the most basic method and is typically found on simpler, less expensive machines, especially older stick welders with a TIG kit added on, or basic DC-only machines. Now let's talk equipment. Scratch Start TIG works on the simplest DC welding machines. Here's what you typically need. A DC welder, either a dedicated TIG machine or a stick welder with a Scratch Start TIG capability. You won't need a high-frequency box or advanced inverter. A standard TIG torch, usually an air-cooled torch like a WP-17 or WP-26. Shielding gas, most commonly 100% argon. Make sure your flow rate is set between 15 to 25 cubic feet. And your tungsten electrode, for Scratch Start on steel, use a 2% thoriated, red band, or lanthanated, gold band, tungsten. Keep it sharpened to a point for DC welding. One important note, scratch starting will contaminate your tungsten tip more frequently, so always keep a grinder nearby. So when should you actually use Scratch Start TIG? This is where it gets practical. Situation 1, you only have a basic machine. Not every shop or job site has a high-end inverter welder. If your machine only supports Scratch Start, you work with what you got. Situation 2, field and remote work. Scratch Start machines are often lighter and more rugged. When you are on a farm, a pipeline, or a remote job site, a simple Scratch Start setup can get the job done. Situation 3, welding carbon steel or stainless steel. Scratch Start TIG is perfectly adequate for steel and stainless. It's not recommended for aluminum. Aluminum requires AC current and HF start to prevent the oxide layer from ruining your weld. Situation 4, budget fabrication. When you're a hobbyist, student, or small shop owner and you can't justify the cost of an HF machine, Scratch Start TIG lets you practice and produce quality welds at a fraction of the cost. The key takeaway? Scratch Start is a tool, not a handicap. Skilled welders have been making clean, precise TIG welds with Scratch Start for decades. Alright, now the most important part. Here's exactly how to Scratch Start TIG weld, step by step. Step 1. Prepare your material. Clean your base metal thoroughly. Use a grinder, wire brush, or acetone to remove mill scale, rust, oil, and contaminants. Scratch Start TIG is less forgiving than HF, so clean metal is non-negotiable. Step 2. Set up your machine. Set your polarity to DCEN, direct current electrode negative. This puts the heat into the base metal, not the tungsten. Set your amperage appropriately. A good rule of thumb is about 1 amp per thousandth of an inch of material thickness. Turn on your shielding gas and set it to 15 to 20 CFH. Step 3. Prepare a start tab or strike spot. Here's a pro tip. Scratch starting directly on your weld joint can contaminate it. Instead, scratch start on a separate piece of scrap metal or a copper start tab placed at the edge of your joint. Once the arc is stable, move to your weld joint. Step 4. Strike the arc. Hold your torch at roughly a 15-degree angle. Quickly scratch the tungsten across the metal surface, like striking a match, then immediately lift it to your normal arc length, about the diameter of your tungsten away from the work. Don't hesitate. A slow scratch will stick your tungsten to the metal. Step 6. Establish your puddle and weld. Once your arc is stable, move to your weld joint, establish your puddle, and proceed with your normal TIG technique, controlling travel speed, filler rod angle, and heat input. Step 6. Ending the weld. To stop, simply pull the torch away quickly to break the arc, or use your machine's slope down feature if available. Then let the gas post flow continue for a few seconds to protect the cooling tungsten and weld puddle. Before you go, here are the most common mistakes and how to avoid them. Mistake 1. Scratching too slowly. This will embed tungsten into your base metal and contaminate your weld. Move quickly and decisively. Mistake 2. Starting directly on the weld joint. Always start on a tab or scrap piece nearby. Mistake 3. Wrong tungsten preparation. For scratch start on DC, always use a sharpened point, not a bald tip. A bald tip is for AC aluminum welding. Mistake 4. Forgetting post-flow gas. After breaking the arc, keep the torch over the weld for 5 to 10 seconds so the gas shields the cooling metal and tungsten. And that's Scratch Start TIG, simple, rugged, and highly effective when you know what you are doing. Whether you're working with a basic machine or just want to understand your options, mastering Scratch Start makes you a more versatile welder. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more welding tips, and drop your questions in the comments below. I read every single one. Next week, we're covering tungsten selection, which type for which job. You won't want to miss it.